Okay. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you to this final session of our National Climate Forum, the 13th forum. Chief guest, this gathering came here on Monday. We are at the 2 days doing what we call co-production, and today is when we will release what is called the National Climate Outlook Forum consensus statement to the press and to the public. This will be done by the Director of Meteorological Services together with the partners who are here. I do not have to labor so much because of lack of time. We have started this too late, and so since it's the time we are now at the climax of our forum, I request that the Director, Kenya Meteorological Services Department, who is represented by Charles Muga, to come over and make the statement or read the statement. And under the request of PS, so please, Mr. Muga, you can come over and read the statement.
WMO representative, Madam Sikosela, UNEP representative, Margaret, and National Disaster Operations Center represented by the Director, Red Cross represented by the Deputy Director, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Is now a climax of our work that we've been doing here for the last 2 days. We've co-produced the forecast. We produced the forecast, and the team from climate sensitive sectors were assembled here to develop advisories that will enhance what we did to the public, so that they are able to make decisions based on the climate information that will be given today. It is now my honor to go through the climate information that we'll release. Then the various sectors will also join us to give the sector-specific advisories. Climate outlook, let me read the statement. Climate outlook for the October, November, December, OND 2026 short range season. Rainfall outlook for the October, November, December 2026. The short range October, November, December OND season is an important rainfall season in Kenya, especially over Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Marsabit, Isiolo, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Makueni, Kitui, Taita Taveta, Machakos counties, and parts of Kajiado and Tana River, where it contributes to over 40% of the total annual rainfall. More than 700 millimeters of rainfall is received in some parts of the country during this season, and that is elaborated in our graphics. Please, are you able to show the graphics? The season occurs due to the southward migration of the intertropical convergence zone, ITCZ. Its duration and performance are influenced by Indian Ocean dipole. Normally we have years that the oceans around our Indian Ocean coasts are warmer than normal, so that enhances the moisture that comes into the country. That enhances rainfall in the positive phase. The ongoing strong El Nino event also enhances rainfall when it occurs concurrently with the positive OID. On shorter time scales, rainfall intensity is influenced by the median oscillation, MKO, and the development of tropical cyclones over the southwest Indian Ocean. The climate outlook of the October-November, December 2026 short-wave season indicates that above average rainfall is expected over Baringo, Bomet, Bungoma, Busia, Elgeyo Marakwet, Embu, Garissa, Homa Bay, Isiolo, Kajiado, Kakamega, Kericho, Kiambu, Kilifi, Kirinyaga, Kisii, Kisumu, Kitui, Kwale, Laikipia, Lamu, Machakos, Makueni, Mandera, Meru, Migori, and Mombasa. Murang'a, Nairobi, Nakuru, Nandi, Narok, Nyamira, Nyandarua, Nyeri, Siaya, Taita Taveta, Tana River, Tharaka Nithi, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Vihiga, Wajir, and much of West Pokot, Samburu, and Marsabit counties. That is depicted in the figure there. You can see the areas that are covered with green. That is where we expect above average rainfall. Near average to above average rainfall is likely over Turkana and few parts of West Pokot, Samburu, and Marsabit counties. Areas projected to receive above normal rainfall are in dark green, as you can see in the graph, while those expected to receive near average rainfall tending towards above average amounts are in the light green, that is around lower area. According to most recent updates, the 2026 El Nino event continues to intensify across the central and eastern equatorial Pacific. The traditional Nino 3.4 index shows a clear and sustained increase, with most recent seasonal mean reaching 1.51 degrees during March to July 2026. July monthly value is rising as risen to 2.03. The latest weekly Nino 3.4 index centered on 12 August reached 2.7 degrees. These observations indicate that the El Nino is strengthening further and evolving towards a strong El Nino event. The Indian Ocean dipole is currently neutral. As of 23rd August 2026, the weekly OID index stood at 0.17 degrees positive. which is below the positive IOD threshold of 0.4 degrees centigrade. Sustained values above this threshold are required for 8 consecutive weeks before a positive OID event is considered to be established. The current OID value is expected to increase in magnitude and surpass the threshold from September 2026. Although some uncertainties remain regarding its timing and strength, the maximum predicted OID value for the season is positive 0.7, which is closer to the level observed in 2015 than to those recorded in 2023 and 1997. The Kenya Meteorological Service Authority will continue to closely monitor El Nino Southern Oscillation and OID conditions, which will inform our updates in the coming days. Expected distribution of OND rainfall onset and cessation dates. Distribution. The predicted onsets, cessations, and distribution of rainfall were derived from dynamic methods and statistical analysis of selected analog years, which showed similar characteristics to the current year, and those are indicated in the table. The analog similar year is 2015, and based on the most recent evolution and prediction of both ENSO, that is El Nino Southern Oscillation, and IOD, the rainfall outcome for the analog year 2015 is political only and should not be interpreted as the forecast. Analog years provide a sense of the rainfall outcomes that occur under broadly similar global climatic conditions. The OLD 2026 rainfall is expected to be fair, deep, well distributed, both in time and space, over several parts of the country, except over Turkana and Samburu, where the distribution is likely to be poor to fair. The season will be marked by prolonged wet spells and occasional isolated storms over several parts of the country. We'll go to standard precipitation index of the forecast. The standard SPI forecast for the October, November, December 2026 season indicates that the probability of occurrence of mild, moderate, or severe drought event is low over most parts of the country. There is, however, a 15 to 20% chance of a mild drought event in Turkana. The forecast probabilities for the two scenarios are also given in the maps shown above. The OND 2026 temperature outlook. The October, November, December temperature climatology. The October, November, December season in Kenya is generally warm with mean temperatures ranging from 17 degrees in Kericho, as in these counties, to over 30 degrees in parts of Turkana. The warm temperatures are due to the southward migration of the intertropical zone, convergence zone, that is associated with warm humid air. During this season, day to night temperature variations is generally small across much of the country, as is associated in that figure 5A. Temperature forecast for October, November, December 2026. Mean temperatures are predicted to be warmer than average during the season, with higher probabilities of Aswale, Mombasa, Kilifi, Lamu, and parts of Tana River, Taita Taveta, and Garissa counties. The potential impacts will be given by our stakeholders from climate-sensitive sectors, but for now, I will call upon my colleague, Christine,
sijaelewa Kenya amesema, lakini itakuwa refu sana.
Mheshimiwa Daktari Mhandisi Festus Ng'eno, itifaki zote zikizingatiwa, mabibi na mabwana, hatujambo. Karibuni kwa utabiri wa taarifa ya hali ya anga katika lugha ya Kiswahili. Msimu wa mvua za vuli, yaani mwezi wa Oktoba, Novemba, Disemba mwaka 2026 ni wa umuhimu sana nchini Kenya, haswa katika maeneo ya kaunti za Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Marsabit, Isiolo, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Makueni, Kitui, Taita Taveta na Machakos, pamoja na baadhi ya maeneo ya Kajiado na Tana River, ambapo mvua za msimu huu huchangia zaidi ya 40% ya jumla ya mvua katika mwaka. Pia katika baadhi ya nchini zaidi ya milimita 700 hunakiliwa, haswa katika maeneo ya magharibi mwa nchi. Msimu huu huchochewa na mzunguko wa ukanda wa kietropiki, yani interconvergence zone, ambayo hutoka kusini kuelekea kaskazini. Muda huo tunapata msimu wa vuli, na kutoka kaskazini kuelekea kusini katika msimu wa masika. Na vile vile vichochezi vingine ni kama dipole ya bahari ya Hindi, yani Indian Ocean Dipole, ambayo kwa sasa ipo neutral, ila kadri msimu unavyoendelea kwenda tunatarajia viwango vyake viwe vya juu, na kiviambatana na El Nino chanya, ambayo ni strong El Nino condition, inategemea kuleta mvua zaidi ya kawaida maeneo mengi nchini Kenya. Kwa vipindi vya muda mfupi, yani katika wiki au mwezi, kuna vichochezi vingine ambavyo ni kama Madden-Julian oscillation na tropical cyclone, ambazo husababisha mvua aidha kuongezeka au kupungua katika nchini. Ndio maana tunasema tufuatilie taarifa hizi kuambatana na zile ambazo zinatolewa kwa mwezi na hata wiki. Utabiri unaonyesha kuwa mvua za juu ya wastani zinatarajiwa katika kaunti za Baringo, Bomet, Bungoma, Busia, Elgeyo Marakwet, Embu, Homa Bay, Isiolo, Kajiado, Kakamega, Kericho, Kiambu, Kisii, Kilifi, Kirinyaga, Kisumu, Kitui, Kwale, Laikipia, Lamu, Machakos, Makueni, Mandera, Meru, Migori, Mombasa, Murang'a, Nairobi, Nakuru, Nandi, Narok, Nyamira, Nyandarua, Nyeri, Siaya, kaunti za Taita Taveta, Tana River, Tharaka Nithi, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Vihiga, Wajir, na pamoja na maeneo machache kusini mwa West Pokot, Samburu na Marsabit. Haya ni maeneo ambayo yanatarajiwa kupata mvua zaidi ya kiwango cha kawaida. Maeneo kama maeneo ya West Pokot, kaskazini mwa West Pokot, Samburu na maeneo mengi Marsabit, tunategemea kupata mvua ya wastani hadi juu ya wastani. Kulingana na taarifa ya hivi karibuni, tukio la El Nino la mwaka 2026 linaendelea kuimarika katika sehemu ya kati hadi mashariki ya Pacific ya Ikweta. Kiashiria cha Nino 3.4 kinaonyesha ongezeko la wazi na endelevu. huku wastani wa hivi karibuni wa msimu wa mwezi wa 5 hadi wa 7 ukionyesha kwamba nyuzi 1.51 ilikuwa imeripotiwa kuhusu kiwango ambacho El Nino imefika kufikia mwezi wa 7. Tathmini ya mwezi huu wa Julai iliongezeka hadi nyuzi 2.03. Aidha, kiashiria cha hivi karibuni cha kila wiki cha Nino 3.4 kilichotabiriwa katikati ya mwezi wa 7 kiliashiria kwamba tayari sasa hivi tuna nyuzi 2.7 cha kiwango cha El Nino. Uchunguzi huu unaonyesha kwamba El Nino inaendelea kuimarika na zaidi na kuelekea kuwa katika tukio lenye nguvu zaidi tunapoelekea msimu wa vuli. Dipole ya bahari ya Hindi yani IOD kwa sasa iko katika hali ya kawaida ambao kwa lugha ya Kimombo tunasema neutral. Kufikia tarehe 23 mwezi wa 8, kiashiria cha wiki cha IOD kilikuwa chanya inamaanisha positive 0.17 ambacho kiko chini ya kiwango cha kawaida cha kuashiria IOD kuwa either chanya au hasi, yani positive or negative, ambayo ni chanya 0.4. Kiwango kinachozidi kiwango hiki kinapaswa kudumu kwa wiki 8 mfululizo, ndio tuseme kwamba IOD imeimarika na inaweza ikapelekea viwango vya mvua kuwa zaidi ya kawaida. Lakini kwa sasa tunavyoangalia utabiri, nyuzi hizi zimeshuka hadi 0.7. Na tukiangalia katika ile ambayo tunaita kwa lugha ya Kimombo analog years, tumetumia mwaka 2015 kama kiashiria cha mwaka ambao tukiangalia na ni mwelekeo wake wa msimu unasawiana sawa na huo 2026. Ndio tukautumia kama analog year, lakini ninaomba kulisisitiza hili. Kutumia mwaka 2015 kama analog year haimaanishi kwamba 2026 itakuwa sawia na hivyo. Ni kwa vile tu waga inatusaidia na kutuelekeza haswa katika mianzo na kikomo cha mvua hizi. Tuangalie tarehe za mianzo, kikomo na mgao wa mvua za vuli. Utabiri wa mianzo, kikomo na mgao wa mvua za vuli umetokana na miundombinu ya kitabiri ya model, yani dynamical models, pamoja na uchanganuzi wa kitakimu wa miaka iliyochagulia ya usawa, yani analog years kama nilivyosema hapo mwanzo, ambao ulionyesha sifa zinazofanana na hali ya mwaka wa sasa. Na katika msimu huu, mgao wa mvua katika maeneo mengi nchini unatarajiwa kuwa wa wastani hadi wa kuridhisha katika maeneo mengi, isipokuwa maeneo ya kaunti za Turkana na Samburu ambapo mgao huu unatarajiwa kuwa duni hadi wastani. Mianzo na kikomo cha mvua hizi pia vinatofautiana kimaeneo kama ifuatavyo. Kaunti za Nandi, Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma, Siaya, Busia, Baringo, Nakuru, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Kisii, Nyamira, Kericho, Bomet, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori na Narok. Mwanzo wa mvua maeneo haya, mvua zinatarajiwa kuendelea kutokea mwezi wa 9 na kikomo chake kinatarajiwa pia mvua zitaendelea mpaka mwezi wa kwanza mwaka 2027. Na mgao wake unatarajiwa kuwa wa wastani hadi mzuri. Maeneo ya Nyandarua, Laikipia, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Kiambu, Meru, Embu, Tharaka Nithi na Nairobi. Mwanzo wa mvua maeneo haya unatakiwa kuwa kati ya wiki ya pili na ya tatu mwezi wa 10, na pia mvua hizi zinatarajiwa kuendelea mpaka mwezi wa kwanza mwaka 2027, na mgao wake ni wastani hadi mzuri. Kaunti za Machakos, Kitui, Makueni, Kajiado, Taita Taveta na baadhi ya maeneo ya ndani ya Tana River, mvua zinatarajiwa kuanza wiki ya 3 hadi ya 4 ya mwezi wa 10, na inatarajiwa pia kuendelea mpaka mwezi wa kwanza. Mgao wake ni wastani hadi mzuri. Kaunti za mwambao wa pwani, Mombasa, Kwale, Lamu, Kilifi na maeneo ya pwani ya Tana River, mvua hizi zinatarajiwa kuanza kati ya wiki ya pili mpaka ya 3 ya mwezi wa 10 na kukoma wiki ya kwanza hadi ya pili mwezi wa 12. Mgao wake unatarajiwa kuwa wa wastani hadi mzuri. Kaunti za Turkana na Samburu, mwanzo wa mvua ni wiki ya 3 hadi ya 4 mwezi wa 10 na kikomo chake ni kati ya wiki ya kwanza na ya pili ya mwezi wa 12. Ila mgao wake unatarajiwa kuwa duni hadi wastani. Kaunti za Marsabit, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa na Isiolo, mwanzo wa mvua hizi unatarajiwa kuwa wiki ya pili mpaka ya 3 ya mwezi wa 10 na kikomo chake wiki ya kwanza hadi ya pili mwezi wa 12, na mgao wake ni wa wastani hadi mzuri. Katika nchini kote, utabiri wa hali ya joto unaonyesha kwamba msimu wa Oktoba, Novemba, Disemba kwa ujumla huwa na hali ya joto ambapo wastani wa joto huanzia takribani nyuzi 17 katika maeneo ya Uasin Gishu hadi zaidi ya 30 katika maeneo ya Turkana na kule Mandera. Hali hii ya joto huchochewa na mzunguko wa ukanda wa kitropiki, yani intertropical convergence zone, inapokuwa inatokea kusini kuelekea kaskazini au kaskazini kuelekea kusini. Msimu huu wa vuli, joto linatabiriwa kuwa la juu kuliko wastani kwenye maeneo mengi nchini isipokuwa maeneo ya ukanda wa pwani, kaunti zile za Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi, Lamu pamoja na baadhi ya maeneo ya Tana River, Taita Taveta na Garissa. Viwango vyake vinakadiriwa kuwa vya juu zaidi ya yale maeneo mengine nchini. Tukiangalia utabiri wa hali ya ukame muda huu, tunavyotazama tunakadiria kuwa na kiwango cha juu cha El Nino. Viwango vya utabiri wa ukame vipo chini kati ya 15% hadi 20%, haswa katika maeneo machache kule kaunti ya Turkana. Hatari zinazotarajiwa kutokana na mvua za vuli mwaka huu: utabiri wa mvua za kiwango cha zaidi ya wastani zinazotarajiwa katika msimu wa vuli zinatarajiwa kuleta hatari hasi, yani negative na chanya positive, kwa sekta mbalimbali. Hatari kuu ambazo huenda zikajitokeza zitatolewa na wadau wa sekta husika. Kumbuka kwamba utabiri huu wa mvua za vuli utumike pamoja na tabiri za hali ya hewa za siku 5, wiki, mwezi, zikifuatanishwa na jumbe fupi boresha, ripoti za ushauri na jumbe za athari, pamoja na tabiri za wiki na mwezi katika kila kaunti nchini Kenya. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Director Christine. PS like the directors indicated. Now we are calling upon the sector leads to give summaries of interventions that they will take based on these forecasts. And we will have agriculture and food security presented by Julius Omunga from State Department for Agriculture, starting off. And it will be followed by Johnny Jenga from State Department for Water and Sanitation to represent the water sector. After water sector, we will add disaster risk management sector to be presented by Jesse Idau from National Disaster Operations Center. Welcome, Panakomunga.
Our distinguished guests, the peers for environment and climate change, all protocols observed. I'm privileged this afternoon to make a presentation on the outlook in the agricultural and livestock sector of how it will be affected by the weather forecast, OLD. And as you know, agriculture is the backbone of our economy, contributing 20% of our GDP, creating employment, food security, and income generation to many households. Basically, we have two rainfall regimes. One is above normal rainfall, which is the larger part, almost 3/4. Then we have a small portion that will receive near average to above average rainfall. Now, we'll see the implication of this in the agricultural sector. The following are the implications of that kind of rainfall regime. And we shall start in the larger part of our country, which will be receiving above normal rainfall. First thing is that we shall have extended growing seasons. This will give advantage of having extended growing seasons, having overlaps of cropping and multiple harvests and better yields for that matter. Water resource will be available, groundwater recharge, and sufficient moisture levels in the soil to sustain crop growth. We'll have enhanced agricultural performance as a result of robust agricultural activities, which will temporarily boost communities' income and reduce inflation. We will also have food and nutritional security, which is attributed to the diverse crop produce, which will address the various needs nutritionally. We anticipate that we shall have abundant production, food and livestock feeds. We shall have an opportunity to have conservation of either food or feeds or fodder products. This will be an opportunity to promote agroforestry and also to establish perennial crops such as coffee, tea, avocado, and many others. The rainfall will also give an advantage of reducing the cost of irrigation. In the low-lying areas, some of the low-lying areas will experience flooding, displacing some of the communities. Waterlogging, soil erosion, and leaching of nutrients will occur. And to this, we can say that as the farmers, the agro-producers apply fertilizer on the crops, they will be cautious because runoff may ferry that fertilizer to the other areas. The high humidity will be very suitable for pest and disease escalation. That high moisture in the atmosphere will also cause spoilage, rotting, and contamination, leading to pre- and post-harvest losses. The high weed growth will add to the cost of production because it's attributed to the engagement of the scarce labor and use of herbicides. In the raised areas in the highlands, we are likely to have landslides which could displace communities. In the livestock subsector, we'll have forage regeneration, and the water for livestock use will also be available. Improving productivity and production. Livestock products such as milk, eggs will be available due to surplus. We'll also experience reduced migration of the pastoral communities in search of the scarce resources, that is water and pasture. We shall have an opportunity for rangelands to recover and recharge of water sources. We'll also experience lower incidences of livestock diseases that are brought about by ticks or fleas. The negative aspect of the livestock in the areas of above normal rainfall, we shall have increased incidences of livestock pests, especially foot and mouth disease and Rift Valley fever. Flooding is likely to cause displacement of animals, and the flashy growth of pasture is likely to cause less reduced palatability, bloating, and affect livestock. We shall also see proliferation of invasive species like Prosposis juliflora, popularly known as Gendromadenga. It's spreading widely, but this will be an opportunity for it to increase. So we'll be on the high alert for this. Basically, these regions of above normal and those of below normal average do not have a big difference, just a slight difference, because some of the benefits will still be found in those other areas which will have a slightly enhanced rainfall. For that matter, livestock productivity, improved body conditions for the animals, reduction of trekking distances to water points or grazing areas, reduced migration, reduced conflict between human and wildlife is likely to occur. What are the strategies that we are going to put in place as the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development? One, we shall seize this opportunity to sensitize communities on pre- and post-harvest best practices, promoting essential infrastructure. We all know that we have invested in some of the counties in cereal drying or grain dryers because of the moistures that will be high, cooling and storage facilities. Counties are also promoting value-based agro-processing through industrial parks or agro-marketing hubs. There will be high surveillance to monitor pest and disease in crops and livestock in the counties. We shall also engage marketing strategy focusing on value addition so that surpluses of feeds, fodder, and food can be conserved. We shall also enhance the market aggregation approach so that farmer groupings can take advantage of numbers. Early acquisition of inputs, fertilizer, and seeds will be put in place. Of course, recently we have seen the reduction of the cost of fertilizer, which has been reduced to 2,000 shillings per bag, and a packet of 2 kg of maize has been reduced to 300. That is good announcement to cater for the farmers, bearing in mind that the cost of production may be very high because of the weather. There will be timely dissemination of early warning and agro advisories. Farmers are encouraged to plant early and use long maturation and high yielding maize that will relatively cope with the extended rain periods. Climate smart technologies will be enhanced, will be utilized, and we shall mobilize our field extension staff to train and to train the stakeholders on the various skills and practices that are climate smart. Timely desiltation and excavation of soil control structures. We encourage use of crop residue to subsidize on hay and fodder. Of course, conserving use bay hailing and also making of silage. Rehabilitation will take place for dams and boreholes. We'll roll out livestock vaccination programs and campaigns to monitor disease outbreak also during our surveillance. Livestock insurance will be considered, bearing in that we may lose high-valued livestock in some of the areas. Rangeland reseeding is ongoing through the support of the FLOCA program. Best paddocking management practices will be put into place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Water sector. One PS, you realize that we have given him more time than the others because of the fact that these are two key subsectors, that is agriculture and livestock. And so water sector and the rest may not take that long. Please, 5 minutes. Welcome.
Our chief guest, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. My name is John Jenga from the State Department for Water and Sanitation. I will just make the presentation of the impact of OND 2026 in the water sector. I will start with the positive impacts. For us in the water sector, we are hoping and expecting to have increased aquifer recharge. You understand that Kenya is mostly a nasal county, and some of the areas in NASA also depends on groundwater, and during this period, you're going to experience increased groundwater recharge. Another positive impact is enhanced water resources. Other than the normal water sources available during the rainy season, you're going to experience other key scenarios of water harvesting, and also the duration of water on availability will be increased. Another positive impact is increased inflows to our reservoir. In the water sector, we talk about the water storage per capita in the country, and this will increase during this period because our reservoir that we use for water supply or for irrigation will be increased. Another positive impact is increased localized water qualities. You find during the rainy season, either by the surface water or the groundwater, the recharge or either the wash away of pollutions results to increased water quality. Another positive impact is decrease in water use conflict. Especially in the south, you find there's a lot of conflict that arises because of, or as a result of, lack of water. But during the rainy season, this is going to decrease, and that will be a positive impact to us. But as we have the positive impact, we have some negative impact that we need to highlight that will come from this. And the first one is high incidences of flooding. And this is common as when you talk of high, above normal rainfall within, which is homogeneous in Kenya. So in this case, we expect that it's going to increase. Another negative impact that we may have during the same period is high likelihood of dam and water retaining structure failure. And I just wish to emphasize this is not the government managed infrastructures, but the individual ones. For the government infrastructures, we have the standard manual of operations that we subject our infrastructure to, and at this point, every infrastructure is well noted in terms of its status. Another negative impact is damage to water and sanitation infrastructures. They are exposed to either flooding, especially in the flood-prone areas, and this results to disruptions of water services. And when talk of water services is either in terms of supply, sewerage, and sanitation. Another negative impact is increased siltation of water infrastructures. Because of soil erosion, some of the infrastructure of sedimentation is stored in our reservoirs. There is a unique phenomenon that we are facing as a country about the rising lakes in the Rift Valley. With this scenario of OND, we may have a case where we have accelerated rising lakes, especially in Lake Nakuru, Bogoria, Baringo, and Lake Naivasha. So that's areas that we need to cater for. Then we have contamination of water sources. This emanates from agricultural activities, from either fertilizer that goes to the downstream or the rivers, or the informal sanitations that may have an impact to the water sources. So in terms of the impact and the mitigation measures for the riverine and flash flood impact, the mitigations or the strategy that we have to enhance is mapping of flood risk areas during the ONT according to the predicted rainfall distribution. Then we have enhanced water level monitoring and early warning. We have to monitor the discharge in our rivers such that we can give the alert levels for rivers and also the flooding levels to our citizens. Then we have cleaning of storm drains, especially in towns. These are major cause, and I know most of the areas have started to prepare in terms of this season, and they are clearing their storm drainage, especially for the municipalities and also the cities in Kenya. And use of sandbags for localized flash flood controls, that's another measure that we need to employ. In terms of the impact of increased water sources, this is one we're going to enhance public awareness on water conservation and also awareness on water harvesting, that is at the household level and also for the different institutions. For the increased water inflows, the mitigation measures is distributing our dams and water ponds so that we may increase our storage capacity that may serve people during the season and off the season. Then monitoring structural stability of the dam, that is something that we monitor on a regular basis, but this also we have to engage the private sectors as they do deal with their management of the infrastructures. Then monitor and manage dam water levels, and these are key areas, especially for the spilling levels, such that we can be able to warn those people that are downstream in case of high incidences of rainfall or a high amount of water. Mapping of small-scale water ponds, that is necessary such that at least we may be able to enhance water availability and also storage. Then the next impact, that is the disruption of water supply, which is expected. In this case, we going to have mapping of water supply distribution prone areas. There's some prone areas where you have, in case of high rainfall or maybe other incidences that come from rainfall, then there is a disruption of water supply. Then rehabilitation of supply systems, either by the intakes or the pipelines, such that the disruption is catered for. Then another mitigation measure is water harvesting during the rain season. That is a key area, either at individual level or even as an institution. Then the last impact is in water quality, and the mitigation measures that we're going to enhance is distribution of. In this case, we find that during the rainy season, the physical and the microbiology component of water decreases. So this is an area that we need to increase such that we are able to address the micro and physical appearance of water. Then we're also going to have enhanced water quality monitoring. This is to able to arrest and identify water source pollution areas during the areas that are prone to flooding. And lastly is to encourage the community and our people to use water boiling as they use the water in their homes. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. And disaster risk management, Jesse. And the health sector, Rose Mokaya, prepare yourself. And environment and the forest sector, you also prepare yourself to be the next third one.
The chief guest, distinguished guest, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Jesse Idai, Data Officer at the National Disaster Operations Center, domiciled at the State Department of Internal Security and National Administration. I'll be taking you through this presentation for the disaster risk management sector. So because the focus has already been issued, I will not go back to what has already been done. I'll go straight to the impacts that we expect within the DRM sector. And unlike my predecessors, I'm going to begin with the bad news and then the good news at the end. Some of the negative impacts that we expect, number one is likelihood of loss of human lives due to floods, mainly as a result of drowning and travel accidents. Some of the mitigation measures that we expect and are already beginning to implement include early warning advisories, community sensitization, so that people are aware that they are not supposed to overlook any amount of water that is moving. We see a lot of people trying to cross moving bodies of water, either with their bodabodas or even vehicles, and they get washed away. So we're going to carry out this, and repositioning of rescue teams and their equipment. NDOC is already undertaking with partners training of rescue services volunteers to be able to do this. The other negative impact of this forecast is likelihood of disease outbreak, particularly waterborne and vector-borne diseases. Some of the mitigation measures that our sector will be doing include sensitization of communities at high risk, coordination of multi-agency response teams and other sectors to be able to lead these interventions. There is also very high risk for disruption of school and learning programs, particularly during this season when we'll be having national examinations as a result of floods that will affect schools and other learning infrastructure. So one of the main mitigation measures for this is identification of alternative evacuation centers away from schools. Traditionally, schools have been used as evacuation centers, and these significantly disrupt education and also often leads to damage of equipment and infrastructure within those schools. The Ministry of Education, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, county governments will lead this cause. There is also likelihood of increased lightning strikes, which could lead to loss of life and property, particularly also livelihood for livestock. The main intervention that the sector will be doing here is creating awareness on how to keep safe, and also coordinate with stakeholders and focal agencies on the installation and maintenance of lightning arresters. There is also the likelihood of displacement of families due to flooding and landslides. And some of the mitigation measures that are going to be implemented include monitoring of early signs of mass movement and tilting of poles, particularly for landslides and mudslides, sensitization of communities, and in the event of these hazards, relocation to safer grounds that are going to be pre-identified and organized. Then there is also likelihood of loss of livestock. I think this is well captured within the agriculture and livestock sector. There is also likelihood of accidents and losses, particularly within oceans and the major lakes, especially for the fisher folks, due to strong winds and high waves. For this, the sector will undertake early warning and advisories to these communities and encourage postponement of fishermen going into the lakes and oceans when the waves are high. Some of the responsible institutions in this regard will be beach management units, Kenya Maritime Authority, Kenya Coast Guards, and also the coordination of Ministry of Interior through NDOC. There are also likelihood and possibility of damage to infrastructure. During the opening remarks, the Director NDOC indicated a number of roads that are expected or might be cut off, 6 in particular, and risk to railway lines as well as bridges and water supply infrastructure in main towns and cities. Some of the interventions that the sector has pointed out include inspection, repair and reinforcement and maintenance of key infrastructure, including roads, railways, and bridges. Responsible institutions include KENHA, Public Works, and also community members, because community members have a responsibility also to safeguard this infrastructure. Another key point that I must also note as a negative impact is the likelihood of building collapses, mainly in urban centers, due to lack of curing during construction and heavy rains that waste the adhesive component of the cement being used. In this regard, there will be sensitization and also enforcement of strict adherence and of construction regulations through the NCA, county governments, and Department of Public Works. There is also the high risk of urban flooding. This is increasingly becoming a phenomenon within the DRM sector, especially in the major cities, but also growing local urban areas. Some of the interventions in this area include clearing of culverts, drains, bridges, openings before the onset of the rainfall, also repair of critical drainage infrastructure and damaged approaches and erosion points where immediate works are feasible. Responsible institutions include county governments, the transport sector, NEMA, and also the national government, and this is already being undertaken through initiatives like Climate Works. To the positive impacts for this sector, there is likelihood of enhanced pasture and browse regeneration due to increased moisture, leading to increased livestock performance. There is also likelihood of recharge of groundwater, leading to increased availability of water for homesteads. These 2 points will lead to the third, which is reduced resource-based conflict, which mostly arise in our pastoral livelihoods. And then there is also going to be reduced human livestock conflict, because both will be having increased production due to improved rainfall. Lastly, we hope that there will be increased food production for the subsequent seasons. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DRM. PS, we are still going on. I request health sector to come. Rose Mokaya from State Department for Public Health. And Transport and Infrastructure Engineer, please prepare to be the next. And after transport, we'll have education sector coming in. Each 5 minutes, please. Welcome.
our chief guest, Engineer Ngeno. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the health sector. I've been given 5 minutes. So we have seen the outlook of the season. So I have to go straight to the impacts and the interventions for the health sector. So the positive impacts, we have around 3. There will be improved nutrition and livelihoods in some regions. In parts of highlands with better rainfall, food production and incomes increase, thereby potentially improving access to healthcare and nutrition. The assigned responsibilities Minister of Health, Minister of Agriculture and others. Then we have enhanced water availability, reduction of communicable diseases. Areas that will receive sufficient rains will benefit from improved water, recharge, supporting hygiene, sanitation, and reducing health risks associated with water scarcity. Then the enhanced health supplies and commodities. The facilities will have medicine buffer and other commodities, buffer stock and a cold chain system, keeping vaccines safe for days without power, where there is power outages. So on the negative impacts, there will be disease outbreaks, including vector and waterborne diseases, including malaria, cholera, diarrheal diseases, and other diseases like chikungunya and dengue fever. The mitigation measures or response will be epidemic preparedness and response, disease surveillance and response, pre-positioning of medical commodities and equipment, and also issues on wash interventions, that's water sanitation and hygiene. Though the assigned responsibilities include MOH, Minister of Water, the development partners and humanitarian organizations like the Red Cross Society. Another negative impact includes flooding and mudslides. That's water-related injuries, trauma, and deaths. So the mitigation measures include enhanced multi-sectoral collaboration, psychosocial support because of loss of livelihoods in some areas, provision of emergency health services. That's MOH, development partners, and other MDS. Displacement and overcrowding. During disasters, sometimes we have people overcrowding in some areas. That includes the communicable diseases in these overcrowded areas. So the mitigation measures includes the hygiene promotion, temporary shelter with adequate ventilation, active disease surveillance, and also adequate wash facilities, water sanitation and hygiene facilities. So another one is compromised water sanitation and hygiene. That's wash services, including toilets and pit latrines, provision of wash facilities, water treatment supplies, hygiene promotion, community sensitization, and also community sensitization by the community health promoters, that's CHPs. These assigned partners, we have MOH and other ministries and departments. Heat-related stress, because we have seen the coast region will be having some heat. It will be a bit hot. We will have outreach health services for the vulnerable populations, including the pregnant mothers and people living with disabilities, and those with underlying conditions, that's chronic illnesses. Then we have disruption of healthcare services in some areas. So we have outreaches or mobile clinics, medical camps, activation of surge teams and alternate supply routes. Also buffer stocks of medical supplies. The MOH and other development partners and the humanitarian organizations. Food insecurity, that will affect the issues on nutrition, that's malnutrition. So the mitigation measures are food supplementation to vulnerable population, the undernourished children and the others, screening and treatment, and conditional cash transfer, double ration for nutrition, food commodities on the malnutrition cases. So response for people, MOH, that's the Division of Nutrition and Dietetics, other departments and agencies and departments and ministries. That's it, I think that's the end. The last one is on food insecurity, that's malnutrition. Food supplementation to vulnerable populations, screening and treatment, and that one I think I've talked about it. Mental health and psychosocial issues. This usually happens when people lose their livelihoods and other factors. Integration of mental health and psychological support, that's psychosocial support in emergency response. These are relevant mental health stakeholders, including the Mental Health Division at the Ministry of Health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kindly adhere to the instructions of keeping your time to 5 minutes. Engineer, please come over. And I don't want to stop someone, but this time around I will be forced to. This is transport and infrastructure subsector. We are also having that challenge of connecting. Otherwise, it would have been better if it was being beamed. But then, welcome, engineer. Present 5 minutes. We'll time you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Maybe even shorter, 3 minutes. Is it working? I pick the mic. Okay. Good afternoon, PS. My name is Michael Mushiri. I'm an engineer. I'm normally involved in transportation and infrastructure activities. And for this week, it was extreme weather or extremities of weather. And we are talking about the El Nino phenomena that we are expecting later this year. Now, I will not read word for word, but I want to talk about roads, railways, aviation, maritime, pipelines, ICT, built infrastructure, and about those people who have built next to lakes. PS, I think you are aware of a village called Kehoto. Kehoto in Naivasha. And I think there's also, Lake Baringo. Now, when the El Nino rains will start, we expect the impact to be in 3 stages. For urban areas like Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, within the first few days, we will experience the flooding. And for floodplains, it will be within the first week. For places like Kehoto, Naivasha, the Lake region, and Baringo, it will lag. Those lakes, the water level does not increase as sudden as the onset of the rains. It takes time for 2 reasons. Water from the mountains takes time to flow to those lakes. And number 2, seepage. Groundwater takes time to get to those lakes. So for us in transport and the built-up infrastructure, the key issue is number 1, create awareness. And as I was seated there, I was wondering, do Kenyans know that we are anticipating El Nino? If the El Nino is as serious as the statement that was read here earlier on this afternoon, is that seriousness communicated to everybody, including the individual Kenyans? For example, I myself, nimenunua ile jacket ya visibility. Na kama niko karibu na maji, jacket yangu nimei-enhance ikawa naweza kufloat. County governments, are they aware that they are supposed to be making arrangements for evacuation of people and all of that? So when the rain starts, monitoring should be daily and continuous. and the institutions that are supposed to do that are there. We need budgets for evacuation, budget to give people temporary accommodation. And so after this, it should be resource mobilization. And as I close, going forward, we must consider that the infrastructure we are building has adaptation within it, climate adaptation, so that not every El Nino we should have. If the past El Nino, 100 people died. The next El Nino, we should see some improvement. Maybe it should be 50. And I'm not saying that 50 people dying is a good thing or is okay. Even one person dying is a bad thing. But let's present our statistics. From the 1997 El Nino, what was the quantum of destruction? Have we improved our responsiveness? Have we improved our awareness creation? And the infrastructure we are building, is it now more adapted to extreme weather? Should I add or should I stop there?
Thank you very much, Engineer. Indeed, you have kept your 3 minutes. Education sector, kindly come forward, Dr. Kanji. And after Dr. Kanji, we will have environment and forest from KFS, Patricia, prepare, and kindly adhere to the 5 minutes. We want to finish on time. Education is the next, and the environment the next, the second next. Welcome, Dr.
Chief guest, dignitaries and delegates, good afternoon. I'm happy to have presented much later because in education, we depend on a multi-agency approach. Every other speaker, whatever they say they do it with us. So I'm going to add a few things and emphasize on how we react to the different happenings. Disruption of national examination. The examinations are zero-sum. They cannot be postponed and they cannot be delayed. Everybody must do the paper at exactly the same time across the country. So when we have El Nino, we have the obvious challenges that were shared by engineer. We can't reach all the candidates at the appropriate time. So when such things happen, of course we map out the country in advance, and then we decide which center should be moved to which location to mitigate against areas that we are very sure we will not be able to reach in case of any emergencies. Then we also do the issue of airlifting. If we can't go there by road, we have to use some other mean. We either go by air, and PS this year, we are going to employ drones. So dear delegates, if you see some funny machines hovering around your areas, most of them will be guided to come and bring something to a nearby center. Those are some of the innovations that we are putting in place. Another thing that we go through, which was mentioned by the first speaker, first or the second one, it's about food supplies. Boarding schools, they have feeding programs. When food supplies are affected, then the school becomes distressed, and they cannot hold for the whole month and 1 week that we're having exams. So we advise them to stock, of course, through the Sub-County District Security Committee. They will be guided accordingly on which type of foods to stock, and also NACONEC from the ministry. Something else that we do have is the disruption of learning. But for this one also, we recommend relocation. We also recommend areas that are adversely affected. They can adjust their learning times and schedules. Students can report at 6:30 in the morning, and by midday they break school, places like Wajir, etc., because it is unbearable to have classes around evening times or afternoon. There is the small matter of diseases that come about because of El Nino and such. The MOH team has talked about it, but we also wish our BOMs are empowered to do first-line interventions, identify any learners, teachers, or workers within the schools who need help, and then they seek professional help. There is the matter of school infrastructure damage, and this we can apply the use of relocation. We can apply the use of coming up with different centers where learners can be relocated and they will be able to be taught. They also be able to be examined accordingly. We have the issue of mental awareness that was mentioned, awareness, counseling before the exams come. And it is our duty, all of us, also to lower the expectations. Let's not heighten the temperatures too much, and then we create a very, very negative atmosphere around exam time. Last but not least, we have the issue of a breakdown in telecommunication. Around exam time, we have a lot of rains. Mostly this year, we're expecting El Nino, which is a bit more dangerous. And we lose power. We lose connectivity. Teams, security teams, examination teams cannot communicate. For this one, we have employed the use of satellite communication as a mitigation. And because it's an expensive intervention, of course, we are working with Interior and the telcos to ensure that the services that we use for the benefit of Kenyans come at no cost, so that we are all able to achieve our goals. I think that's just about it, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Forrest, please step forward, and please keep to 5 minutes. I know the presenter for quite some time, and I know she can give us a lot, which is very, very good. But due to time limits, kindly stick to 5 minutes. And after that, we will have front room groups. Sarah Njoki, please prepare yourself to come forward after Madam Patricia. Welcome, Madam.
Yes, the PS and the other guests or protocols observed. My name is Patricia Kitheka. I work for Kenya Forest Service, and I'm here to just give you a summary of the what we expect during those during El Nino if it happens. And the key to us as forestry sector is mainly on issues on afforestation and restoration. That is where we are going to be able to benefit a lot from this weather condition, because we'll be able to carry out a lot of afforestation activities in our country through like implementation of the 15 billion tree growing strategy. The other issue is on business opportunities for our communities. We'll be able to carry out, to have a lot of nature-based solutions for our communities, and these are business opportunities. We also have issues on food security, whereby we allow our communities to be able to carry out growing of crops in the forests, and then issues on increased forest biodiversity, and more so issues on fires, because fires have been they've really been able to reduce our forest cover and all that. But with this amount of rainfall, we'll be able to have a lot of reduced fire occurrences and all that. And I think I've mentioned these ones. And all in all, the mitigation actions that we'll be able to carry out is on issues of our awareness. We need to involve the public to be able to grow trees and also participate on matters forestry protection, on matters building the economy through the PELIS system that we are carrying out. So our key issues are on awareness creation, and the responsible organizations is mainly the government, and almost everybody will be involved, including the counties. The other key issue is on issues on nurseries, tree seedlings production in our nurseries, because even for us to meet the demand for the 15 billion, we have to be able to produce enough seedlings for us to be able to achieve the mandate. So we'll be able to emphasize on that. The other issue is we expect enhanced enough water in our catchment areas through recharge of our catchment areas and all that. I think I mentioned the issues on fires and forest biodiversity, improved forest biodiversity, so I was able to summarize because of time. The negatives are very few issues on flooding, especially along our riverines. We expect some flooding, which should be able to carry away our planted seedlings along the rivers and all that, the riverine areas. And for us to mitigate that is that we need to raise bigger seedlings that we are able to plant along those areas, and especially bamboo and other tree seedlings that are able to withstand the floods and all that. The other cases of issues on landslides and mudslides, we are trying to create awareness to the communities that we need to carry out a lot of afforestation activities in the areas that are prone to landslides. Of course, we'll be informed by getting to map these areas and create awareness to the communities. I said I'll not repeat on the organizations because it is a role of everybody, including especially the government and the public, and led by Kenya Forest Service. And lastly is on issues on soil erosion along our riverines and all that. And the other one is issues on pests and diseases, because you realize that when it rains a lot, we have some of those pests and diseases that are really usually affect our seedlings in the nurseries and all that. So I think I'm done. The only thing that was not mentioned, and let me just mention this, is issues on risk and uncertainties, so that even as we plan for these plans and all that, we need to prepare for these uncertainties and get to see how we'll be able to go around them for us to be able to achieve whatever is required. Issues on natural disturbances, climate change, inadequate financing, so we need to be prepared for all these uncertainties and risks. I can talk and talk and talk, but thank you very much for getting to listen to me. And
thank you very much. Thank you very much, yes. Madam Patricia. Sarah Njoki, one of PS for the last 4 or 5 years. It has been a norm within our National Climate Outlook Forum to include agency. And you can see even in the sign interpreter, it has been our target that we do this. It is something that is world over, and it is something that we are embracing seriously. In particular, this year we had a number of participants, some who are deaf, some who are also not able to speak. We will produce this forecast in Braille. We will produce that so that at least we can distribute to the people who are not able to see. So it's something that we are taking seriously. Madam Sarah, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our guest of honor, all protocol observed. My name is Sarah Njoki, and I am going to talk about the vulnerable groups. As we discuss the positive impacts of above normal rainfall, both positive and negative impacts, it is important to remember that the same weather hazard does not affect everyone in the same way. While heavy rainfall may cause inconveniences to some, it can pose serious risks to vulnerable groups. This we are talking about people such as children, older persons, people living with disabilities, pregnant and lactating mothers, the marginalized communities, and even people living with the diseases that are terminal. This is because different groups have different levels of exposure, and the capacity to cope is also very different. So in my presentation, I wanted to highlight the potential impacts of the above normal rainfall on vulnerable groups and the key measures that can help reduce these impacts. The people who have talked about me have already tackled the different hazards that are going to be experienced due to the above normal rainfall that we are anticipating. The education sector have talked about the school-going children. These children are more likely to be exposed to more exposed to drowning, and also exposure to maybe lightning strikes. So they have also, for the sake of time, I will not go through all the possible impacts to these groups because most people have talked about them. Like for the older persons, maybe above 60 years, in the case of flooding and in case evacuation will be needed, these people may be exposed to challenges in evacuation due to limited movement, and also like people living with different types of disability, the visual, they will be more dependent, they will need more assistance. So due to the sake of time, I want to summarize my presentation by saying this, that these vulnerable groups should be in the mind of the responders and the people that are taking planning the response, that they should know that they should prioritize the needs of these vulnerable groups. They should know that they are there, and the response should be not taken the same. They should not be homogeneous for everyone. They should know that these people will be more exposed, and try to kindly give them priority in the planning and the response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sarah. Economics, please step forward. Madam PS, Madam Sarah is one of our staff, and she has represented the team. Economics, we have Ross from CMBK. On a PS, again, this is another sector that we started incorporating into our co-production about like 5-6 years ago, because we learned that there is a lot that they brought on board when we were doing the co-production. And so that's why they don't miss. They can miss in the first day before they acclimatize. But during the real co-production, they make themselves present. Madam Rose, please, you are welcome.
Thank you. I am Ruth, not Rose. I am Ruth Mwadhi from the Central Bank of Kenya. And allow me to ride on the protocols already established. So the background to this have already been laid down. So I will just go straight to what us as people who look at the macroeconomics mostly focus on. So the sectors that we're looking at that will be mostly affected are the agriculture sector, electricity, transport and infrastructure, trade and education, and we've had a detailed discussion on that. So in terms of, sorry for that typo, it's supposed to be OND 2026. In terms of the positive impacts, We are looking at improved agricultural production, that is both crops and livestock, and we'll have the positive linkage effects in the manufacturing sector in terms of agro-processing, the wholesale and retail trade, and also the transport sector. We'll have also higher incomes from increased agricultural production. We also expect to have sustained hydroelectricity generation and water supply due to recharge of dams, reservoirs, and this means that the cost of energy will be low, and we also expect increased food supply and electricity generation that is lower cost, and this will lead to reduced inflation. However, despite these positive effects or impacts, the negative effects that have already been discussed, flash floods and landslides, destruction of infrastructure, disruption of transport and trade, disruption of education, and increased fiscal pressure. In terms of fiscal pressure, we are looking at the government spending to mitigate impacts of floods, repairs of infrastructure, that is the aftermath, and search and rescue and evacuations. Then we have lower revenue collections. So in terms of the fiscal deficit, we're expecting the fiscal deficit to increase because of the disruption of economic activity in areas of trade, transport, and tourism. And what are the key response measures? I will want to skip this slide because we have a summary of these. So we've seen that the sectors we are expected to be affected: disruption of economic activity, that is loss of crops, livestock, and when this happens, we'll have slow economic growth in terms of GDP. Then what are the mitigation measures for these? Strengthening of existing crop livestock insurance programs such as DRIVE. Then we have promotion of economic diversification through incentives, incentivization of climate resilience industries, then development of temporary tax deferrals. This is where the National Treasury comes in, and you are asked not to pay your taxes today. You can pay them in a near future when the economic conditions will be okay. Then revision of projected economic growth. As Central Bank of Kenya and as the National Treasury, in order for us to make informed fiscal policies and monetary policies, we have to look at where the economy is growing. Like when we started the year, we had a projection of 5.3% growth. But because of these developments, we have to keep revising the growth downwards because we feel that agriculture mostly will be affected, and this is a very key sector in the economy, and we may not be able to realize such growth. And the ministries that are responsible for these are the National Treasury and the Ministry of Agriculture. Then we have disruption of transport and trade, that's roads being impassable, and this could disrupt supply chains, leading to inflationary pressures. So despite the positive effects we're looking at in terms of increased food supply, then there will be the breakage in the supply chain because of the transport. So therefore you will have inflationary pressures increasing because there will be food, but it will not be able to reach to the market, or the distribution will not be efficient. Then the mitigation measures is to develop food freight subsidies and facilitate mapping and strengthening of food distribution channels. And ministries responsible, we have the Ministry of Roads and Transport and Public Works, and this includes all the agencies that are under that. Then we have county governments and the National Treasury. Then we have lower revenue collection, and this is due to disruption of economic activity that we mentioned earlier. And the mitigation measures here will be resourcing of contingency funds, suspending expenditures from such funds for a specified period and facilitating the triggering of disaster risk financing instrument such as the catastrophe funds. So the National Treasury may be forced to reallocate resources in order to cater for these contingents, and also the county governments. Then we have increased inflationary pressures. These will disrupt due to disruption of food supply chains, which could cause higher food prices. And here, the central bank, we are expecting to monitor evolution of food prices and overall inflation to maintain price stability. You will ask me why we are talking about monitoring and not probably taking a decisive action. And this is because we have to establish whether this is a permanent shock or a temporary shock. But we are expecting it will be a temporary shock that will fade off maybe in the first quarter of 2027. So we keep monitoring and see what's supposed to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. PS, again, in the midst of us, we have media. I'm calling the media sector presenter to come over. And these are the people, again, we've worked with them for long. We want to hear now how they will break this and how they will handle the situation. Since they are key to reaching the last mile person. Without them, and more so, getting it right. We know we have groups of media who may not pass it over well, but we ensure that we have media amongst ourselves for them to understand us. Welcome, Madam.
Our chief guest and all the delegates present in the room, good afternoon. As the media sector, these are some of our main roles that we're going to play, that we're going to do during this time, where, number one, we're going to translate the seasonal forecast into clear, practical public information, where we make sure that everybody who's getting to get the news, either through the radio or whichever media that they're going to get the information from, is very clear and understandable to the language they can. And then we track emerging risks, communicate early warnings before hazards escalate. And then also we're going to give communities trusted, timely information on preparedness and response, counter misinformation, rumors, and sensational reporting. This especially when people can just decide to come up with the news that are not yet verified, or information about the weather and maybe something that have happened, but not yet verified. It is our role as the media to ensure that the information that is out in the public is one that can be trusted and very reliable. And this one, we're going to get it using and working with the KMD, because they are our main resource persons, especially on matters weather and climate changes. We have to amplify the voices from the affected communities, responders, and technical agencies, and then maintain continuity of broadcasting and digital communication during the season. And our other thing that we're also going to do is when these things are happening, we're going to, one of the principles that is going to help us maintain this information to the public is we have to be early. As the media practitioners, we have to be very early and communicate this information before the hazards become emergencies. That is like right now what is happening now, telling the public what is happening. We're expecting the rains. How are we going to give them this information? It should be so early that the farmer in the village or any other person that is going to be of beneficial to this news has it and has already the steps taken. And then we are very accurate with the information that we are giving from the competent authorities like the KMD and other stakeholders. And then we are so local, we are intentionally local to translate the national forecast into county and community realities. And also we're so practical to tell the audience what to do, where to seek help, and what to avoid. Especially what to do, how when it is raining, what you're supposed to do, what is expected of you. And if you're going to seek help, where are you seeking this help? If it's to avoid, what are you supposed to avoid? It is flooded, you're warned in advance that don't step or don't test the depth of the waters with both feet. If the water is above your ankle, please avoid that area. It could be so dangerous because it could even be deeper than what you think. So avoid flooded areas and high-risk areas. If you can see some hanging poles, those are some of the information that just a highlight of how we're going to make sure that we're keeping public aware of, and also to be safe. And then we are also inclusive by reaching out onto women, children, older persons with disability, especially for the deaf community where we have all the media stations, we have the provisions of sign language interpreters to make sure that everybody can listen to this information in a language they easily understand, including the use of sign language, using vernacular stations, so that we have no excuse that I never had. Everybody had it at the end of the day. And then we are so be responsible in avoid panic. Tell the public to avoid panic or misinformation and sensationalism. Yes, sensationalism. Yeah, it happens. And then we are also consistent by ensuring that we reinforce official alerts across the radio, TV, print, and digital platforms. By this, by us reinforcing is sometimes we'll have to call the various stakeholders or the leaders to come and have TV or radio talk shows. That will also help to explain and to disseminate this information to the people that, to our audiences. And our key resource interview partners, we have number one, through the ministry and the Ministry of Agriculture, Crops, Livestock, Pasture and Agricultural Opportunities, the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, that is water availability and water infrastructure, the energy sector, where we are going to have the stakeholders, the leaders involved in these ones to help us get more information about this. And then Ministry of East African Community and ASALs. You say that in ASALs especially, where there's a problem, this time they're going to get minimal or some, there's some rainfall that they're going to receive. But how are they going to get it into deeper details into the information that is going to help them and how they're going to take care of their livestock and during this time. And then also their Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, the information that they're going to give us that is going to help us in giving out timely information about the wildlife, how the rainfall is affecting the wildlife and tourism as a sector. And then we have the transport authorities. Yes, and here in the transport authorities, here they'll be focusing on talking about the floods and infrastructure hotspots by telling the entire nation which parts are quite dangerous, and if we maybe have areas that are still inaccessible, what other routes can they use maybe to go to areas that they need to go get help. And then also we have the National Disaster Operations Center, that is NDOC, Disaster Risk Hotspots, Displacements and Response. We have beach management units, and these ones are going to help, especially those who do fishing along the lakes. Because you find that during the rainy season, fishing activities tend to reduce, because the fishermen who sometimes can go to the lake, what will happen? The boats can tend to subside, and that is leading to death. The warnings or the information that they can give to their people around their beach and the lake shores. And then the Ministry of Blue Economy and Fisheries Authorities, Ministry of Health and Community Health Promoters to help talk about disease, because during this time, there's going to be rampant spread of diseases like malaria, waterborne diseases. We can use them to help talk to the various communities and the people within their reach on precautions to take. And then finally, we have the Kenya Red Cross Society on the work that they're doing during this time when people are displaced and how they respond in humanitarian. And then these ones, as we finish, when we ask the leaders and the ministries or the, yes, our leaders in these departments, kindly we ask for cooperation so that you are going, the ones who are going to help us talk to the public with the authority and you know, with all the stamina that is required of us and expected of us, so that the public remains informed all the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. PS, lastly, what we are going to bring is not really a sector, though it's a sector on its own in one way or the other. Amongst this group here, we had partners. And so we felt it important for them to be in here and also tell us what kind of interventions they can chip in together with the government ministries and all that. And so we'll get a presentation from Barasa, from FuseNet, representing partners. We had quite a number of partners here. They are listed there, and you can talk more about that. Welcome, Barasa.
Sure, thank you so much. Distinguished guests, PS, and everyone around, thank you so much. So we work closely with each and every sector that has been mentioned or has come here in front to say what they will be doing. And as the CBO and NGO part, we try to have a coordination among all these stations, because there are times when you realize that people are addressing the same issue at once and without coordination, and they end up conflicting or end up as oversupplying or overdoing something in one area while some other areas also need assistance. So with that, we are trying to first get the information from KenyaMet, and once the information lands with us, we are able to ingest it in our own way, try to make it more palatable to everyone around, so that even the person in the last mile can really understand what it means in their own way. Because we have different people across in Turkana and maybe in Mandera who maybe they don't have access even to the chief, but sometimes the humanitarian body is able to access all these areas. So with that, we'll ensure that the information reaches even the farmers, the pastoralists, the fishermen, and everyone around. And the information is part of the story. So what after? What should they do? So we'll try to have participation scenario planning, whereby we'll try to talk to them and understand what does this mean to you and what will you do. We might tell them to move, but now that's not the way they move. You tell them to move to the east, but they usually move to the west. We tell them maybe to sell off their cows, or maybe to move from this land and go to the other land. Maybe the other land is the one they have conflict with the other group. So we'll engage them so that they can help us to understand what do they do, what have they done historically, and then we'll help them accordingly. That's through maybe cash transfers, maybe offering some non-food items and all that. So in that way, we also will have to engage them, and we'll have a more like a loop or feedback loop where they will tell us more of is the information coming to them and how are they well using it, and is it of good help, and how well can we maybe try to help them get the information better. Maybe they have people of special needs, maybe they have grannies, so how do they understand? Sometimes we have issues to do with this, we call it, they have their own way of indigenous knowledge, and they tell us, no, it's not like this. We don't understand this in our own language. But now trying to bring them to book with what the scientists say is quite a big issue that maybe our sectoral part will not be able to do that much. On the other part is the last is the coordination of institutions. We have Red Cross here, we have Masiko, we have a lot of other NGOs that all of them might bring blankets in one area, might bring lorries to transfer people, but sometimes you might find that we're bringing a lot to one place that they don't need, and then another place is really deprived of all this. So with that is a matter of coordination and matter of interacting among the partners so that we can see how well this impending disaster will move on seamlessly without affecting a bigger chunk of the human population and also livestock and food. Thank you so much, and I complete from there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Batsa. It's now my pleasure to invite the Director, Kenya Meteorological Department, to make his remarks as he invites the PS. And for your information for the media, this statement which was read by the director incorporating all these impacts from different sectors is now available in Q code. The ICT people will beam it, it's already there, so you can get the whole statement from that Q code. Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Masika, for taking us through that. And now, before I make just some few remarks, I'll call upon WMO representative just to summarize the observation that she's made based on this. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Acting Director PS. I would like to recognize you and all in the table. I think mine is very short. I just want to appreciate this forum. It came at the right time, very relevant, when we have something very huge ahead of us and we are all anticipating. And I want to appreciate the support that has made this to come to fruition. I also appreciate the good coordination that I'm seeing with many sectors participating. In some countries, it's quite minimal, and I want you to know that you are doing very well, to commend you for that. And also I want to appreciate the level of skill and the level of detail going into as detail as a county level, and even some counties differentiating them. I think that's quite a lot of detail that is necessary to inform decision making. And I also want to appreciate the ensuring that no one is left behind in this particular process. Thank you so much, and to all the sectors, the ball is in your court. The focus is in your hands. Please take it to very good use and make sure that it informs your decision going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, WMO. It's now my pleasure to also call UNEP to make just a summarized observation.
Thank you, and Excellency, PS, Director for Disaster Risk Authority, retired Colonel Samoei. We've been here for 3 days, and I know we've done a lot of good work, but I must say that at the closure of this 13th National Climate Outlook Forum, allow me on behalf of the United Nations Environment Program to sincerely thank the government of Kenya through, of course, the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and of course the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority for convening this important forum. The key message is clear. Climate information must translate into action. Early warning is most valuable when it enables early and informed decisions that protect livelihoods, infrastructure, ecosystem, and development gains, as you've heard from all the partners today. So as Kenya prepares for the coming rainfall season, we must strengthen the link between this early warning and anticipatory action. And this just requires reaching out to everyone, the counties, communities, farmers, businesses, or everyone. So from UNEP, our perspective is just to emphasize the important role of nature and healthy ecosystems in strengthening climate resilience. So this forum has also demonstrated the importance of partnerships. No single institution can address the increasingly complex impact of climate change alone. We need continued collaboration amongst national and county governments, scientists, development and humanitarian partners, the private sector, the academia, civil society, and communities. So UNEP remains committed, Excellency, to support Kenya in advancing climate resilience, ecosystem restoration, nature-based solutions, and the effective use of environmental and climate change information for sustainable development. I really want to thank you and wish you all the best as we move forward.
Thank you, UNEP, and it's now my pleasure again to call Red Cross as responders to this climate outlook to also say something.
Thank you very much, Honorable PS Ngeno, and all distinguished colleagues and guests. I'm very proud on behalf of the leadership of the Kenya Red Cross to be part of this product of the 13th forecast. And as I said earlier, I'm even more proud that this is not just any of the other forecasts that had happened before, because of the work that we have all jointly put together to make sure that this is not just a prediction, a scientific document predicting what will happen with the weather. That the work that we have jointly done here puts together the exposure that this forecast brings, the existing vulnerabilities that this will expose, and the very good anticipatory actions that all of us have laid out and commit to, so that we make sure that this country, this great nation of Kenya and its residents, comes out of this particular season stronger and better. And the only words that I would have is to plead and to put to you a pledge that as Kenya Red Cross, we will put all our resources, all our manpower as required by the mandate given to us by the laws of this country to support the good work that we are all doing and to make sure that we all work in concert to make sure that we come out of this stronger and better and improved than we have done before in the other 12 forecast events. Thank you very much and congratulations to all of you, as well as a very good leadership from PS and his department. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Red Cross. Director didn't want to say something, but I'll call upon him to just summarize something, because he told us they are already putting mechanisms in place to respond to the effects of El Nino later in the year. So, welcome, Director.
Thank you so much, sir. Principal Secretary, Dr. Engineer Ngeno, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to commend KMD for this wonderful job they have done. They have given us the weather situation going forward. And just one more group I want to commend is the media. I'm very impressed personally from National Disaster Operations Center for what the media is doing. And I think now it's very clear to Kenyans that there will be above normal rain in October, November, December season. And I really commend the media for this, both the television, the print media, and even the FM stations. Lastly, I want to say that what remains now is work. Hasi sasa inaanza, because we have been told there is a threat to our country. So what remains is the work for the disaster responders. This weather can be a threat to our country. We can easily lose lives. and we really need to prepare. And with those few remarks, I don't want to talk too long because I know everybody's waiting for the PS to hear what he's going to say. I want to end there, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. You would have gone with that advice if you didn't stand. So thank you for that. And now we are waiting to listen to the PS. But before I call upon the PS to come and address the gathering, I also want to thank the team from climate-sensitive sectors that have developed the sector-specific advisories that will go into feeding into the final climate outlook forecast that will issue to the public. I also want to appreciate the support and collaboration of development partners, UN agencies, humanitarian organizations, county governments, national government institutions, civil society organizations, the private sector, academia, the media, and other stakeholders. The success of climate services depends on strong partnerships and continuous engagement between information, products, and users. No single institution can effectively manage weather and climate risks alone. I encourage all of us to sustain this collaboration beyond this forum and translate the recommendations developed here into concrete actions that will enhance preparedness, strengthen resilience, and protect lives and livelihoods. Let us therefore ensure that the information and knowledge generated during this forum reach the people and institutions that need them most, and most importantly, that the information is acted upon. On behalf of Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, I thank you all for your participation, commitment, and constructive engagement. And now it's my honor and pleasure to ask you to join me in welcoming the PS to address the gathering and officially close the workshop.
Asante sana. Only 4 people stood up. Good afternoon, everyone. I know we have been here for long, and I won't take much of your time. But again, to reiterate and appreciate everyone who has participated in this conversation, allow me to recognize the WMO rep, Lopsile, the UNEP rep, the Deputy DG Kenya Red Cross, the NDOC, and the Kenya Met, and the media, and all of us. I truly appreciate you for being here. A round of applause to all of you. Allow me to make a few off-camera remarks before I read the speech that has been prepared as I close this forum, and to just indicate that this is also important for us as a country, and to congratulate the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority. No, I'm really proud to see this name, Kenya Meteorological Service Authority. You know, we are transitioning KMD, and most of you have been pushing us to really transition Kenya Met as a department to be an authority, and we are almost there. And I want to appreciate the partners that have worked closely with us. His Excellency the President is really keen on the transitional plan and to make sure that the authority delivers what it is because of what it does for the country. And therefore, I'm really, really happy to indicate that, to mention that. But again, also to understand 2 things that are happening. I think someone mentioned the issue of the rising lakes. And as you are aware, it is a climate change issue. And as we speak, again, coupled with the El Nino threat and the status of preparedness to response, led by the team from the defense and the entire sectors, there's a team that are already in Baringo, especially on the threat of the convergence or the meeting of the two lakes, Lake Baringo, Lake Bogoria, is an ecological disaster. And we took it the presentation on the rising lakes. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the El Nino phenomena, but the lakes are rising as we speak. Whether it is the engineer talk about the Kyoto in Naivasha, which is almost getting fully submerged, Lake Nakuru, a whole ward is gone, Lake Parut ward in Nakuru, talking about quite a number of islands that have been submerged in Lake Turkana. We are talking about Lake Victoria, quite a number of almost a whole sub-counties being submerged. And now the threat of the meeting of the two lakes of Lake Baringo and Lake Bogoria. In 2020, 2021, the distance separation between the two lakes were around 15 kilometers. When the El Nino happened in 2020, 2021. As we speak, we are talking about less than 9 kilometers separation between the two lakes. And only less than a meter before the lakes tip and meet. And of course, there is a huge challenge as we work. So we did take that through the National Advisory Council up to His Excellency the President, and direction has been provided. The reason why you are seeing a lot of activity on the status of preparedness to work on this disaster, whether it is El Nino or rising lakes, is that the government is well aware. And I think NDOC, you've been at the forefront on this, and we truly appreciate the media as put by the team on what you are doing. So we truly appreciate. I think we are more than prepared. Kenya Red Cross, you know what you are supposed to do. And as I have always mentioned, and this is important for me to mention, the role of KMD or KEMSA, or Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, is to issue alerts and warnings. You will not ask them what to do thereafter. I think what you do with that information is for the sectors that have been responding. So for Kenya Met, make sure your information is accurate for us to be able to respond properly. And that is what we've been doing, and we have really worked closely to make sure that we support them as they do this in that regard. The engineer mentioned about the flooding, that the urban centers are going to be the first effect for any rain, whether it is El Nino or any heavy rain that happens. But I want to, where is the engineer, my friend? Is he? Yeah, but I want to tell you also, tell your engineers, I'm one of them, let's tell ourselves, that we let's design urban centers which are sponge city kind of a thing, so to be able to trap these waters. You know, we are good in tarmacking everywhere. So what do you expect when there's a small shower in Upper Hill? You know what I mean? So we really want to really encourage, especially county governments or the new towns that are coming up, that we design climate resilient urban cities, and that's what we need to be looking at so that we don't have the challenges coming. And therefore, truly appreciated the responses from the various sectors, and I was very happy to see the Kenya Forest Service. I think you are the only sector that is very happy that it is going to be raining. A lot of rains, you have tree seedlings, you're doing the 15 billion tree growing program, so we'll be doing tree growing until January. You know, it's a presidential directive. And that is how, so as one of the speakers mentioned here, is that these El Nino rains or any rainfall, or whether drought or rains, it affects people differently. So our pastoralists are going to be very happy that there will be a lot of grass and all those things, agriculture, you know, and both positive and negative. And therefore, we need to be able to see how that is going to be delivered. And therefore, just from the government, we are truly appreciative for your support, and we are truly prepared. We are working closely. The President has been on the forefront on this matter. The Deputy President has been the one who has been chairing the planning committees, and especially on disaster preparedness, and we've been part and parcel of the teams that have been there. So we pray that we'll be able to sort these as we look at the onset of the El Nino rains. So ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to join you at the closing forum of the 13th National Climate Outlook Forum. Over the past few days, this forum has brought together scientists, policymakers, practitioners, development partners, the private sector, county governments, and other stakeholders around a shared objective to ensure that climate information supports decisions that protect lives, livelihoods, and our economy. And the central bank team have been here, and you've heard what they are looking at in that regard, and the other sectors that have been here. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look ahead to the October, November, December 2026 rainfall season, the outlook presented to us provides information, important information, on to what we need to do, what we expect across the country, but a focus on its own does not save a life. It cannot protect livelihoods or prevent loss. Its value is realized when it reaches the people and institutions that need it in time and when it informs action. And I think the media have alluded to that we need to be able to provide timely, accurate information to the people. This is therefore the central message I would like us to take from this forum. We must move from climate information to early action. The expected rainfall during the October, November, December season presents both risks and opportunities. Above average rainfall in some areas can contribute to improved water availability. That's what the Ministry of Water said. Agricultural production from agriculture, pasture, and recharge of water resources. But at the same time, intense rainfall can increase the risk of floodings, landslides, disease outbreaks, damage to infrastructure, and disruptions of livelihoods. Our responsibility is to prepare for both. And the lessons from previous seasons, including El Nino events, are clear that the cost of preparedness is far lower than the cost of responding after disasters occurred. And I think that is what we are doing here. This requires us to act before impacts occur, not after. Building on what has been done here, we must therefore ensure that the climate outlook is translated into clear and practical actions by every sector at every level of government. For farmers in Nyandarua or Kilifi, for example, this means information can support decisions on planting, crop management decisions, and harvesting. And for pastoralists in Turkana and Samburu, it means information that supports decisions on water, pasture, and livestock management. And for the fishermen communities in Lake Victoria and other areas, it means timely information on weather and lake conditions. And for urban areas like Nairobi, it means preparedness for flooding, drainage challenges, and other weather-related risks. And for national and county governments, it means using the outlook to inform contingency planning, resource allocation, and early interventions. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, our second priority must be to strengthen collaboration. No single institution can manage climate risks alone. The Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, KEMSA, provides the scientific information, but the information must be connected to the institutions responsible for the planning, disaster risk management, agriculture, water, health infrastructure, energy, and other sectors as outlined in our National Framework for Climate Services, the NFCS. County governments, communities, humanitarian organizations, development partners, the private sector, civil society, and the media have all an important role to play. We must therefore, ladies and gentlemen, continue strengthening the mechanisms that connect focus to decisions, decision to action, and action to impact. And this is particularly important because climate information must not only be accurate, it must also be timely, accessible, understandable, and trusted. And that is what the media team have told us today here. And therefore, I call upon all the stakeholders to strengthen the communication and uptake of climate information including through locally relevant and user-centered approaches so that no community is left behind. Our third priority must be to ensure that the lessons from each season contribute to long-term resilience. Preparedness for the October, November, December season should not be viewed as a standalone activity. The risks we face today are increasingly interacting with long-term climate variabilities and change. We must therefore integrate climate risk management into national and county development planning and investments. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we must strengthen early warning systems. We must promote anticipatory and forecast-based action. We must also ensure that resources can be mobilized before disasters occur. This will enable us to move progressively from a reactive approach where resources are mobilized after impacts to a more proactive approach where risks are anticipated and managed in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, the October-November rainfall season also reminds us that climate variability is not only about managing risks, it is also about identifying and preparing to harness opportunities. Where rainfall is favorable, we should be ready to maximize benefits from agriculture, water security, groundwater recharge, and other productive sectors, while putting in place measures to manage the associated risk. This is the essence of climate resilience, not simply surviving climate shocks, but using climate information to make better decisions and strengthen the sustainable development. As we close the National Climate Outlook Forum 13, or the 13th session, I would like us to carry forward 3 clear commitments. One, that we need to turn information into action. That let's ensure that the focus on climate information generated by our scientists and are translated into clear, timely, and actionable guidance for decision makers and communities. This is also important. And I've always told my team from KMD that when you come and tell us this story about weather forecast, use English. Sometimes they are really so much technical. And in one of the sessions, we were telling the DG to make sure that you speak English into this thing, because they can be so technical, and media have requested that we break it down so that the communities can be able to understand. When you talk about Indian dipole now, we get lost at some point, isn't it? So it is important that we break it down. Secondly, we need to strengthen collaboration for early action. That let's deepen coordination across government, counties, communities, development partners, humanitarian actors, the private sector, civil society, and the media, so that we act collectively and decisively. And the third one, we need to build long-term resilience. Let's use the climate information and the lessons from each season to strengthen adaptation, climate risk management, and sustainable development planning. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the October, November, December 2026 season provides us with an opportunity to demonstrate that early warning can lead to early action, and that early action can reduce losses and protect development gains. Let us therefore leave this forum with a shared determination to act early, act together, and act at the best available science and knowledge. The government, through the State Department for Environment and Climate Change and the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, remains committed to strengthening climate services, early warning, and climate action, so that climate information continues to serve the people of Kenya. I take this opportunity to thank all the participants, organizers, and partners, and the media for your valuable contributions to the NCOF 13. I urge you to sustain this collaboration beyond this forum and throughout the October, November, December season, ensuring that the information and commitments generated here translate into action on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, with those many remarks, I take this opportunity now to declare the 13th National Climate Outlook Forum officially close. I thank you. Asanteni sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us all rise to thank the PS for his remarks. A round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Bwana PS, for giving us this opportunity to share the work that the Kenya Meteorological Department is doing, and we are grateful to have you here with us. I would like us to remain standing for the national anthem. You have closed the meeting, but we will give the government its due respect. So I hand over this to the ICT team, kindly. Thank you very much, Bwana PS, for giving us this opportunity to share the work.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to ask kindly the PS and the table that is seated right here. We would just want to get a photograph of you. This is an event that we've had quite a good number of you joining us. So kindly, would you just join us at the front? And I would also want to ask the what do you call them? The LOC, the lock of KMD. Kazi ilikuwa yenu na mumeambiwa asante. So we'll just take a photograph right here. This is okay. The LOC, tafadhali, as soon as they are done, our high table is done, you will be next. So this will give time to the media to go outside and prepare themselves. The interviews will be done at your left-hand side through that. So we need this photograph. Aya, Ms. Elal, as soon as you're ready, just let me know. Then everybody else will. So 1, 2, 3, please let us smile. Tufanye haraka. The rest of the media, if you need interviews, you can leave the room and go out there, just to the left. So this is the last picture, 1, 2, 3, the last. Thank you very much. So could you just step down one step? LOC, naomba tafadhali, Muigai, the rest of the team, please. Tukuje haraka haraka so that we get this picture. Naomba musimame nyuma pia so that mtoshee vizuri. Is everybody here? Kuna mtu tumeacha nje? All right, this is the team that did the work, Bwana PS. Christine. All right, this is the last picture we are taking. Christine, we are waiting for you. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you very much. So I'd kindly request PS this way so that you do the interviews with the rest of the team. Tafadhali. Kazi bado kidogo tu, just to answer a few media questions. Pause. Kuja tu interview.